Last episode, you built your lab, the place where you're allowed to break things. Today, we walk into that lab and lay out your workbench. Every craft has its core tools, and web hacking is no different. In this episode, we're touring the 4 you'll use in almost every single test you ever run. Burp Suite, your browser's built-in developer tools, the terminal, and a note-taking system. Master these 4, and you can attack almost anything. So this isn't a boring tool list. Think of it as meeting the instruments before the concert. By the end, you'll know what each one does, why it matters, and how they work together to turn you from someone watching hacking into someone doing it. Let's start with the single most important tool in web hacking. If you learn only one tool from this entire series, make it this one. It's Burp Suite, made by Proxy, the same people behind the academy I told you to sign up for. So what is it? At its heart, Burp is an intercepting proxy. That's a fancy way of saying it sits in the middle between your browser and the website, and it catches every request as it goes past. Normally, when you click a button, your browser sends a request straight to the server and you never see it. With Burp in the middle, you can freeze that request in midair, read every detail of it, change anything you want, and only then send it on. That single ability, seeing and editing the raw traffic the site never expected you to touch, is the foundation of almost every web attack. There's a free community edition that's more than enough to start, and a paid professional edition for later. You do not need to pay a cent to learn everything in this series. Let's make that concrete because it's the mental model everything else rests on. Without Burp, the path is simple. Your browser talks to the server directly. When you turn Burp on, your browser is told to send its traffic to Burp first. So now the path is browser to Burp to server and back again. Burp is a checkpoint in the middle and nothing gets passed without you seeing it. Inside Burp, a few tabs do the heavy lifting. The Proxy tab is where you intercept and watch requests live. The Repeater tab lets you take one request and send it again and again, tweaking it each time. This is where you'll manually craft and test attacks, and you'll basically live in Repeater. Intruder automates sending hundreds of variations of a request for things like trying a word list against a login. And the Target tag quietly builds a map of the whole site as you browse. Don't worry about mastering these today, just know the Proxy catches it and Repeater is your workbench. The next tool costs nothing and you already have it installed. It's hiding one key press away inside the browser you're using right now. They're the browser developer tools, DevTools for short, and you open them by pressing F12 or right-clicking any page and choosing Inspect. Developers use them to build sites. We use the exact same panels to take sites apart. A few tabs matter most to us. The Elements tab shows you the live HTML and CSS of the page. You can edit it right there to bypass simple limits like removing a disabled attribute or unhiding a field the site tried to keep from you. The console lets you run JavaScript directly on the page, which is perfect for testing cross-site scripting ideas. The Network tab is the star. It shows every single request the page makes behind the scenes, every hidden API call, every piece of data flying back and forth. And the Application tab lets you inspect cookies and local storage, where sites keep your session tokens. Burp gives you deep control. DevTools give you instant, zero setup visibility. You'll flip between them constantly. Tool number 3 is the one that makes people feel like a hacker in the movies. The terminal, the black window where you type commands instead of clicking. It looks intimidating, but you only need a handful of commands to start and you pick them up fast. Why does it matter? Because the most powerful security tools have no buttons, you run them by typing. You use the terminal to launch scanners, to move around files, and to run quick one-line tools. A few you'll meet soon: curl for sending a web request straight from the command line without a browser, nmap for scanning a target to see what's open, and git for downloading tools from the internet. Even basic commands, listing files, changing folders, reading a file are enough to get moving. You don't need to be a Linux wizard on day one. You need to be comfortable, not fluent, and comfort comes from just opening it and using it. Every command you learn, you keep forever. The last tool isn't flashy, and beginners always ignore it. That's exactly why so many of them stall out. This is the habit that separates the pros. It's a proper note-taking system, and in real hacking, it is not optional. Here's why. A single security test can span days and throw hundreds of small findings at you. A suspicious parameter here, an interesting error there, a URL you want to come back to. If it's only in your head, it's gone. Professionals document obsessively every target they touch, every payload they try, every result, and screenshots of anything interesting. This does 3 things. It means you never lose a lead. It lets you write a clear report at the end, which, if you go into bug bounties or a job, is literally how you get paid. And it turns every test into a lesson you can review later. Popular tools for this include Cherry Tree and Obsidian, which let you organize nodes in a tree, but honestly, even a simple folder of text files beats nothing. Pick something today and start writing things down. Your future self will thank you. So how do these 4 actually work together in a real test? Picture it. You open your notes and write down the target. You start the terminal and run a quick scan to see what you're dealing with. You open the site in your browser with Burp running behind it, catching everything. As you click around, you pop open DevTools to peek at the requests and the page's guts. You spot something interesting. A request that looks editable, so you send it to Repeater in Burp and start bending it, testing what the server will accept. And every step of the way, you're writing down what you find. Terminal to look, Burp to attack, DevTools to inspect, notes to remember. That loop, in various forms, is what web hacking actually looks like day to day. A few habits that will save you pain early. First, learn Burp's repeater deeply before anything else. Being able to resend and tweak one request fluently is 90% of manual testing. Second, keep DevTools open by default while you browse a target, so you're always watching the network tab, not guessing. Third, when you install Burp, take 5 minutes to set up its certificate in your browser so it can read the encrypted HTTPS traffic too. The Academy and Burp's own docs walk you through it. And fourth, build a note-taking habit from your very first practice lab, not later. It's much harder to add the discipline once you've got sloppy habits. Small setup now, huge payoff for the rest of your journey. Here's why this tour matters more than it looks. These 4 tools are your hands. Every attack we cover from here on, every injection, every broken login, every stolen session is going to be performed with exactly these instruments. When I say in a future episode, intercept the request and send it to Repeater, you'll know precisely what I mean because you met the tool today. When I say check the network tab or run this in the terminal, it won't be a foreign language. This episode is the difference between watching me do something and being able to follow along on your own screen. So don't just watch, install Burp, open your DevTools, poke around, get your hands on the instruments before we start playing real music. Let's lock it in. 1. Burp Suite is an intercepting proxy that sits between your browser and the site, and it's the #1 web hacking tool. 2. Inside Burp, the proxy catches traffic and Repeater is where you craft attacks. 3. Your browser's DevTools, open with F12, give instant visibility, elements, console, network, and application. 4. The terminal runs the powerful tools that have no buttons like curl and nmap. 5. A note-taking system is not optional, document everything. And 6. In a real test, they work together as a loop, look, attack, inspect, and remember. Screenshot this. That's your workbench setup, lab built, tools in hand. This also wraps up Module 1, our whole foundation. From the next episode, Module 2 begins and we stop preparing and start attacking. Real vulnerabilities, hands-on, using exactly these tools. Subscribe so it lands in your feed the moment it's live because you do not want to miss where this goes next. Drop a comment telling me which tool you're most excited to learn, Burp, DevTools, or the terminal. Get them installed and I'll see you in the next one where the real hacking begins.